With the release of The Darkest Shore, we have been given 11 new audio recordings that we can listen to and give us some backstory and information about the map, much like we had in the Final Reich, where in the Final Reich there were several different audio reels scattered around the map. Now there are 3 audio reels scattered across the Final Reich, and we found all 3, and this presents us with 11 new audio recordings. I thought what I would do is play them for you guys, and then we can talk about their storyline implication, because they do give us a nice amount of backstory and answer some questions you might have had about the map.
It's working? This is Red Riding Hood, trying to get another message to Ravencrown. Ravencrown, I have not heard from you since I shared our location with you. God in heaven, I don't know if I can get any more out to you. Straub grows suspicious and is critical of my every move. You must know, since our last correspondence, Straub has moved up the timetable. Our losses in the east have brought increased pressure from Himmler to begin Operation Sea Lion in a matter of days. I have to go. Please, send in your strike force, soon! Ravencrown, this is Red Riding Hood. Things have gotten moderately better here due to an external distraction. Dr. Straub has lost a number of his Meuchlers, the undead soldiers he created as assassins. They are the most monstrous of Straub's rotten children, the most intelligent. His recent experiments with reviving dead brain matter resulted in a more conscious member of his Untoten army. I'm not sure whether I should celebrate Straub's distraction or not, however. You see, the Meuchlers, they have been escaping from storage. This should not be possible. And Straub, well, he's furious. Furious and terrified, because they keep escaping and then coming back. They do not speak much, but one word is clear, repeated over and over again. Mutter. Mutter. It is how we say mother. Ravencrown, I still have not heard from you. Straub has tightened security on the island. He has taken my U-boat pens and turned them into his storage locker. My island has become a morgue. He has removed my personal guard, has added monstrous locks to the doors, and now leaves his monsters to patrol the island. Does he not know the history of this island? It is blasphemy! Even now, he carries the head of Richter around on a stick. It is his personal key to areas of the island that I can no longer enter. I cannot do this any longer. Please, send your people, now! This is Red Riding Hood, with a final message for Ravencrown. We have new orders. Orders to abandon Operation Sea Lion. I overheard the message from Berlin. You must hurry. You must come. Come now! It was from our Führer. He was begging for rescue. I fear I do not have much longer. Please, send help, Ravencrown. You swore you would. Please. Please.
These audio files introduce us to 2 new characters, the first of which is Red Riding Hood. That's his codename. We don't actually know what this character's name is. We can assume he's a spy and also working for Dr. Straub. He seems to have close contact with Straub, but Straub is growing suspicious of him, and for good reason. He is sending these audio files out to another character and calling for strikes on the island. One of the things I suspect is that he is a native of Helgoland, and this is because he refers to the island as his own. He says, my island. Well, the island they're on is on Helgoland. They're not on some island owned by one person. This is an island owned by a single entity, a government. Most likely at the time the Germans, because they were the ones controlling it. Now Helgoland is of course owned by the British. Either way, this isn't his island, which makes me suspect that he is a native of the island, and that's why he says, my island. What I suspect is that he lived on the island, was probably somebody of value or somebody of power, and then when Straub and his army took over, he basically started reporting or working for Straub, and he wasn't very happy about it. This drove him to become a spy, and is now sending messages to Ravencrow. Ravencrow is the person receiving these messages. Again, we don't know who Ravencrow is, who he's working for. I assume his name is a reference to Barbarossa's ravens that we saw in the Final Reich, but we can't confirm that at the moment. The nature of these 2 characters is kind of interesting, especially in audio transcript 32, when he says, I overheard a message from Berlin, you must hurry, you must come now, it was from our Führer, he was begging for rescue. it almost comes off as if he's on the side of the Germans, but if he's on the side of the Germans, why is he a spy, and why is he also calling for help and calling for a strike on the island? It doesn't really make sense. It almost seems like he wants to help the Fuhrer, which makes me think that both Red Riding Hood and Ravencrow are Germans. It's bizarre. The nature of these two characters and the relationship between them, I don't fully understand. Eventually, though, he will get his wish, and he does receive help. We see at the end of the Easter egg that they actually do bomb the island, and in addition to that, our crew was sent in. What happens to him is unknown. We've yet to actually find him in the map, unless he was the person who was chained up on the wall in the Easter egg. It could very well be. Another thing we learned from these audio transcripts is the fallout of the facility. We learned that Dr. Straub had created the Moistlers, and the Moistlers were these new types of zombies he had created, a new monster. They were to be assassins, and they were intelligent, more so than others. They would actually speak. They said Mutter, mother in German. Who their mother is hard to say. Maybe they believe Straub was their mother because Straub was the creator of them, or maybe they were just calling to some figure, some unknown entity. Potentially Nerthus, the goddess of fertility, who is below the map and her sons are at the bottom. They might actually be calling to her. I think that would probably be the most likely explanation, especially when you enter the room and you see the Moistlers kind of doing their dance around the three dead sons. Maybe they're referring to her as the mother, and this kind of gives them a spiritual connection to the goddess Nerthus. That may be what's going on there. The final bit I want to touch on is Operation Sea Lion. It's mentioned a couple times throughout these audio transcripts. Operation Sea Lion was the Germans' planned invasion of the United Kingdom. This plan never came to fruition. Hitler viewed it as a final resort. He didn't want to actually do a land invasion, I'd assume, because it'd be too costly. And if they were ever to come out with a diplomatic solution to their squabble with Britain, this would prevent the need for land invasion. Now, of course, this never happened in our real world, but in their world, this seemed like something they were on the brink of. They were about to perform Operation Sea Lion, and then something happens. And again, in audio transcript 32, they receive word from Berlin. The Führer Hitler is in danger and he's begging for rescue. And that's most likely what's going on at the end of the Final Reich, where Marie says they're going to Britain, but then Olivia says no, they're going somewhere else. They're not going to Britain. They're going to Berlin, most likely to rescue Hitler. And this, remember, is going on in the year 1945, in the final days of the war, most likely during the siege of Berlin, as the Red Army is growing and traveling ever closer to Berlin in their attempt to take it and put an end to the war. So what we're probably going to see right now is us in Berlin during the final days of the war, as the Red Army encroaches ever closer to Berlin and Straub's army comes to the rescue. That to me seems like the most logical explanation as to what they're talking about in audio transcript 32. It's a setup for the third map in our saga. That's going to wrap things up. That's all the information you really need to draw from these audio transcripts. They're all very interesting. Hopefully we can find more. There are 2 more video files that we've yet to find, and when we find them, I will be bringing them to you guys. For now, though, these are all of the in-game audio files. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe for more coverage of the World War II zombie storyline and just zombies in general. I'm gonna go, though. Have a wonderful day, and bye.